Hi, welcome back to Study Hall, and today we are in my kitchen because I want to talk about some tips and things you can do to practice for your service exam, even though there's no exams happening right now. So this is definitely something that is more geared towards people who are pursuing certification through the Court of Master Sommeliers, because the Wine and Spirits Education Trust doesn't tackle or test on the service of wines and spirits, but the Court of Master Sommeliers does. And I'm going to share with you things that I did at home to help me prepare. A lot of this is what I like to call muscle memory. So none of this really requires much equipment or money or even necessarily opening wine. And frankly, none of this stuff is a secret. On the Court of Master Sommeliers website, there is a list of service guidelines and standards. And so you can find a lot of this information, but if you don't kind of get yourself used to setting yourself up for a likely exam scenario, then you might feel a little bit uncomfortable. And if you are uncomfortable and unsure, then you might not be able to perform at your very best. At the advanced and at the Master Sommelier level, one of the service steps is all about decanting red wine. And one of the things that I thought was really helpful, and this might sound so basic, is there are certain tools and certain numbers of those tools that you will need to set up your station for the proper service or decanting of that red wine. For example, if you're decanting a red wine, you need coasters. A coaster or an underliner will go under the bottle, under the decanter, and then also one for the cork. For decanting wines, you need 3. Memorize that. Then, when you find yourself in an exam scenario and you're a little bit nervous and you're a little unsure and you have a table with all your tools in front of you, you know exactly what you need to set yourself up for success. Another thing that I like to think about is how you set yourself personally up for success. Now, I like to wear a jacket. Don't even get me started on the fact that women's professional dress doesn't have a lot of pockets, depending on, what producer or what style of clothes you're wearing. But for a sommelier, working on the floor, oftentimes we would wear a jacket, irrespective of your gender, because they have pockets. They have places where you can put your stuff and your things. And you need stuff and things to properly execute service. Now, there's a whole list of all of those tools that you might need, and I made myself a little kit. You can do whatever you want, but it has my 3 pens, it has my lighter, it has my crummer, a little notebook, all of those things that you might need. One of those tools is what we call an asso, and this is a 2-pronged opener for opening a bottle of wine. And typically we would see this with like an old bottle of wine with a natural cork that might be a little bit crumbly or difficult to manipulate with a traditional wine key. We probably don't use assos very much because we don't have to, right, in regular service. But what if you had to in an exam scenario? Are you familiar with how to use an asso? Do you know how you can practice? These things cost like $4. And you can use them to open just about any type of wine. And once you pull that cork out, you can jam it back in and you can open it again. So get yourself one of these little guys and learn how to use it. Another tool or behavior that I used to practice was the actual art of decanting. So when we decant a bottle of wine, traditionally it's a full-bodied red wine that through time has thrown some sort of deposit, little bits of color and skin that have agglomerated together and they've fallen out of solution and they form like a sandy grit in the bottom of the bottle. It's entirely harmless, but it's like drinking coffee grounds. So the idea of decanting an older bottle of wine is that you would separate the liquid wine from that grit in the bottle. And that is something that is commonly tasked with candidates at exams to do. Now, it's not actually an old bottle of wine, it's the motions, it's going through the proper motions. And so I won't go through all that here, but this is just a bottle of wine that I had at my house. It's now emptied out and filled with water. And this is a decanter. This probably costs like 20 bucks, right? And you can use it over and over. It's not super fancy. I used decanters just like this when I was in restaurants. And you can practice decanting based on the Court of Master Sommelier service standards. Now, there is another style of decanting that has occasionally been asked of candidates to do at exams, and that's called double decanting. And this is definitely something that has like struck fear into the heart of people before. And the idea with that is once you've poured all of the wine into a decanter, you would then pour the wine back into the bottle. Why would you do that? Well, you would do that in the case of a very young wine. Perhaps there isn't actually deposit or a sediment that you need to separate, but the young wine could benefit from some aeration, and decanting also provides that. If you've never done it before, it could be incredibly, incredibly stressful. So just your bottle of wine and your decanter, pour the water into your decanter, and then practice pouring the water back into the bottle. It's tricky, and you might spill, but it's just water, so it won't stain. And if you've never practiced it, the chances that you would spill or be nervous doing this in an exam scenario are huge. But if you've practiced it and you're more comfortable doing it, you're gonna give yourself a better opportunity for success. Other things that I like to practice at home include stuff that you might be asked to do at any level of a service exam, such as, I don't know, carry glasses on a tray. Now, if you are a sommelier or someone who works in a hotel or restaurant, this is something that you are probably very likely familiar with. But lots of people take these tests and they haven't worked in hotels or restaurants, and so this might be a really uncomfortable thing. Or you just might be nervous, and that could be nerve-wracking as well. So what do? If you work in a hotel or restaurant, maybe you could borrow a tray. If you don't, you can buy these online. Now, this is a pretty decent one. It's got a nice firm metal bottom. You could also buy yourself one of those real cheapy little plastic ones that kind of pops in and out and doesn't lie completely level, because it's gonna be a lot harder to carry the glasses. So if you can carry them level at home on a crappy tray like that, using a nice tray like this will be a no-brainer. Again, the Court of Master Sommelier Service standards are online. It's not a secret. So you get yourself a napkin and you line your tray. And then you can practice putting wine glasses on the tray. Super easy. Now, I'm just using empty glasses right now, but you could make it harder and pour some, and then you know what? Walk around your house. Stand on one leg, lift it up and down, carry it in your non-dominant hand. There are simple things that just will build up your muscle memory and your reflexes and make you feel more comfortable when you are actually in the situation if you practice them ahead of time. Again, these are little things that I used to do when I was preparing for exams, just in my apartment, around my house, just so I could feel a little bit more comfortable when the time came to actually take the test. Super inexpensive, super easy to accomplish, and can be super efficacious in making you feel more comfortable. So they were helpful for me, and I hope that you will find them helpful as well.